There is a valley in the center of Norway where the lights do not behave the way lights should. It is called Hessdalen, a long, quiet stretch of forest and frozen marsh, with only a few hundred people living along its length. In winter, it is one of the darkest, stillest places you can imagine. And since the early 1980s, the people who live there have watched something move through that darkness that no one has ever been able to explain. It began suddenly. Around 1981, the residents started seeing lights, not once, not twice, but again and again, sometimes 20 times a week. They were not stars. They were not aircraft. They appeared low, sometimes just above the ground, sometimes hovering over the rooftops of the houses. Some were small, white points that drifted slowly along the valley floor. Others were enormous, bright, glowing shapes, the size of a car, that floated silently and then shot away at impossible speed. Some pulsed. Some changed color, from white to yellow to deep red. Some simply hung in the air for an hour, perfectly still, watching the valley as the valley watched them. The people of Hessdalen were not frightened at first. They were curious. And so, eventually, were the scientists. Because this is what makes Hessdalen different from almost every other story of strange lights in the sky. The lights kept coming, and so the scientists came to measure them. In 1983, researchers set up camp in the freezing valley with cameras, radar, and spectrum analyzers. They expected, perhaps, to find a simple answer. Headlights reflecting off the hills. A trick of the cold air. Something ordinary. Instead, they recorded the lights again and again on instruments that do not imagine things. Their radar caught objects moving through the valley that gave a strong echo, and then, in an instant, vanished from the screen. Their cameras captured glowing shapes that their spectrum analyzers said were burning with real energy across a wide band of light. Whatever the lights were, they were not an illusion. They were physically there. Years later, an automatic measuring station was built in the valley, watching the sky around the clock. It still runs today. And in all these decades of data, the lights have never been fully explained. The theories are many, and every one of them runs into a wall. Some scientists believe the lights are a kind of plasma, a cloud of charged, glowing gas formed in the air of the valley. But no one can say exactly what is energizing it, or how it holds its shape for so long. Others point to the rocks. The valley floor is rich in metals. On one side, copper. On the other, zinc and iron, with a small river running between them. Some have suggested that the entire valley acts like a vast, natural battery. That electric current flows through the ground and somehow ignites the air above it. Others have pointed to the dust from old mines, or to crystals of quartz squeezed by the slow movement of the earth, releasing bursts of electrical charge. Each theory explains a piece of it. None of them explains all of it. None of them explains a glowing object the size of a car that floats silently above a frozen marsh for an hour and then accelerates away faster than any aircraft, leaving no sound and no trace. And so, decade after decade, the lights of Hessdalen remain one of the very few unexplained phenomena in the world that science has not dismissed. Because science cannot. The lights are still there. They are still being filmed. They are still being measured. And they are still, fundamentally, a mystery. Today, people travel to that cold Norwegian valley and sit out through the long winter nights, cameras pointed at the dark, hoping to see one. Most go home with nothing. The valley is silent, the sky is empty, and the cold is endless. But every so often, far down the valley, a light appears where there should be nothing. It brightens, it drifts, it hangs in the freezing air, glowing with an energy no one can name. And for a few minutes, the people of Hessdalen are reminded that there are still things on this earth, in plain sight, recorded on camera measured by machines, that we simply do not understand. And now, imagine standing there, in the dark, in the snow. A light rises in the distance and begins, slowly, to come toward you. You have your camera, you have your instruments, you can measure its energy, its speed, its color. You can record everything about it, except the one thing you most want to know: what it is, and whether, in its own strange way, it is looking back.